Good morning, everyone, and welcome to May's Research Forum. Want to thank you all for your attendance today. We have not as big of agenda as we've had in prior months, which is kind of good. There's not a lot of updates going on. There's a few things that we'll get started with for the Sponsored Programs Office. One thing that we wanted to let you know of in review and evaluation of the change that we mentioned last month regarding the PI eligibility request form 105. We had mentioned that there's an update regarding the box that's been added to ensure that the PI who receives eligibility either for a lead PI role or a co-PI role on the project that they're requesting the eligibility for has a box to identify access to ensure that they obtain access to Aggie Enterprise. After further review and evaluation and feedback, we are going to, effective the first of the fiscal year, July 1st, return those forms if the new form has not been utilized with the checkbox. So we want to make sure that we give you enough notice so that you're prepared and that you're utilizing the new form with all new requests coming through for PI eligibility. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the proposals inbox or the awards inbox, depending upon the request that you need for the PI exception, whether it's for a proposal or an award. In addition, I'm going to turn this over to my colleague, Alyssa Bunn, who has some great updates on the OR budget template.
Hey, so I wanted to start out by letting you know that, as you may have noticed, that NIH recently came out with a T32 NERSA rates update, so updates to pre and postdoc stipends, etc. And so I've updated template G, and it hasn't quite posted on our website yet. So if you need that, I know we're just kind of right past the date for the deadline of T32, but if you're working on one for a future submission, you can email me in the meantime and I'll give you the one with the updated rates, but it should be posted really soon. And we're also getting those rates updated in Cayuse 424. Those have to be completed by Cayuse, I believe, at the central level. So they're getting those updated. They can be manually typed in the meantime. So the second thing I wanted to talk about was, I know based on your feedback, sometimes, let's say you're using the OR budget templates and you've proposed a proposal, let's say I'm just going to give an example, from October through September of every year. And then you get the award in and it's starting in November. So it's November through October. Your budget still with its projections is an excellent best estimate of your costs. But you're then tasked with going through and changing the dates, what maybe changes the fringe, which maybe changes your escalations, which throws your whole budget off, and then you have to redo a bunch of things and it causes time and then it delays your award, and nobody wants that. And so I've gotten feedback, right? I wish there were a way that this is still my best estimate of costs. I could just leave it as is because it hasn't changed the dates substantially. It hasn't changed my estimate. I don't want to go through that whole thing. The totals are correct. So that's the change I'm working on right now to allow you to easily do that. I haven't finished it yet, but I plan to post it next week. And I just wanted to preview it a bit because I think based on what I'm hearing from campus, this may be quite helpful. So I'm just going to share my screen. I am open to your comments as well. But okay, so what I'm proposing is on the sheets to create this little section up here. We have our start and our end date. And these are our proposed. Let's say it comes in, like we said, this is still a really good estimate of our costs, right? They already include projections, so changing in a month is not going to materially change your estimate. Let's say it changed to 9/1/2005. 8/31/2030. And as soon as you put this in, it shows the awarding dates, but none of these dates are going to change. And what I haven't finished yet is I need these to update to correspond with the awarded dates. But basically what it would do is show all your new dates without actually changing any of your costs. And so then again, if I remove these, it goes back to the proposed dates. So these costs are still based on these dates. It just shows the correct dates because it's still your best estimate of costs. And so this is something we could even do in sponsor programs. If we talk to you and you say, this is still my best estimate of cost, we could even update this to save you time. And it just, I think if we add this to all of the sheets, that would solve one of those efficiency issues. So that's one thing we're planning on rolling out. If you have any comments, you think, hey, that's not going to work. Here's some other ideas. Feel free to email me, Bunn@ucdavis.edu. Goal is to make budgeting like more efficient for you and move things forward more quickly.
Thanks everyone for your positive feedback also. We appreciate that. All right, so we will now hand this over to Nicole Tardiff, our Director of Contracts and Grants Accounting.
Oh my, good morning, everybody. So I just have a quick update regarding the effort reporting system that we currently use. UCOP is going to be discontinuing the use. Somebody was either really excited about that or they were talking about something else. I'm excited about it. So it has kind of been a pain point. We are exploring options of going to the Huron system right now. A lot of the state universities are we're trying to get onto one contract at this point to see if we can, split the costs and make this work. I know we're just waiting for Huron to get back to us. We don't have any information on a timeline at this point. We don't have confirmation that this is 100% a go, but we feel pretty confident that it is moving in that direction. So I just wanted everybody to kind of have a heads up. This is happening. And as we get more information, we will share it. Next, I have Lenora, who I believe is on here. She is going to discuss when we have issues verifying departments and project managers on awards. So go ahead, Lenora, take it away.
All right. So, not necessarily a shock, but as we've worked through Aggie Enterprise, we now know of certain issues. So from this, CGA will no longer be updating the department organizations on projects once the budget is approved. So if you are a project manager approving new budgets for new awards, be sure you're double checking that information before you approve the budget. There's multiple ways you can check it. You can check it on the award screen, the project financial management screen, the master data. If you are the project manager reviewing that and it has the incorrect org, then you need to reject that budget and put a note for what organization you want. The grant administrator will then update it and resubmit that budget. Once you've approved the budget and you see that the department organization is incorrect, that will require a new sponsored project. So you would just need to submit a ticket requesting that. And I can put that KVA in chat. This goes for all projects. Any existing projects right now that have a budget and you find that the org is incorrect, you need to request a new sponsored project update. I just put the KVA on requesting new sponsored projects in chat. That's my news.
All right. Are there any questions on that before I pass it over to Tammy? No. All right, Tammy, you're up. She's going to discuss the difference between grants administrators versus contract administrators.
Good morning. So there was an email that went out like in January of 24 that talked about the way that we were going to align CGA with the implementation of Aggie Enterprise. So as you recall, previously, there was a one-to-one relationship between a sponsored award and the CGA fund manager, where they managed all aspects of the award administration, including setup, amendment processing, invoicing, and/or financial reporting through closeout. Well, Aggie has a more robust separation of duties. So that meant we could no longer have one person manage the entire project. So currently we have a grant administrator that's responsible for the award setup, processing new amendments, setting up POs, modifying POs. Then we also have a contract administrator who's responsible for invoicing and financial reporting based on the expenditures that have posted in PPM. And I'll put the KBAs in the chat when I'm done here that you can follow, because we get a lot of questions. Well, who is my contact? So if you submit a ticket, those tickets will be forwarded to the appropriate person. But if you're sending an email and you need to get to this person right away, it would be great if you could look up that person, the contact, send the email with high importance. Of course, when you're not sure if the grant administrator or the contract administrator, which one could answer your question, you can always reach out to me or the supervisor of that person. I'll also put the link in the chat to our org chart that may or may not help if you have questions. Also, there's also the EFA inbox where we do get a lot of questions, and Lenora and I go through that inbox and then we forward as appropriate. Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay. Thank you.
As far as CGA, that is all we have.
All right, I'll turn it over to Perry on updates with our training opportunities.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Wow, we are whipping through our agenda this morning. So I'm going to take this opportunity then to share my screen. So the upcoming training opportunities webpage, I'll put the link in the chat. And I just want to share with everybody that from the top here, you can jump down whatever sections you want to go to. So coming up next week, we're going to have a SPO office hours on the first Thursday of each month between 10 and 11. So that's over Zoom. And if you join us at that time, you can ask your proposals, questions, also awards or sub-awards, and our knowledgeable staff will be there to walk you through the answers. But you can always reach out to proposals at ucdavis.edu or awards at ucdavis.edu or even sub-awards at ucdavis.edu. So I just want to let you know we have a bunch of research administration workshops scheduled for the coming year. So to sign up for those, write SPO training at ucdavis.edu. And these are offered over Zoom. They're 2 hours and they're on specific targeted topics. So you can see the different topics there and explanations for them. So hopefully some of those will be of interest to you and you'll sign up for those. And also all of our standard recurring classes that we offer, the new schedule is posted now for the 25-26 academic year. So you can just click on these links to get more information about each of these classes and to register for them in the UC Learning Center. So a number of our classes are also offered as e-courses, so you can find all these here to sign up for those. Our latest e-course is Cayuse 424, which is also offered as a recurring instructor-led training over Zoom. And the last thing I want to share with all of you is that we have unlocked e-courses that if you just want to get the information, you don't want to get course credit, you can come over here and jump into any particular slides. And also we have handouts from our instructor-led trainings that have the same content, but with a table of contents at the top. So you can find whatever information you're looking for from a training and then jump right to it so you get the answers to your questions. So those are all available for you. So I just wanted to let you all know about that. And unless people have any questions, let me stop sharing. That's all I got. Are there any training contracts? Well, yeah, our trainings are about proposals and contracts for extramural research, training, or public service agreements. So whether it's a contract or a grant, we'll cover that. And if it's a contract, like a purchasing agreement, we don't cover those. Or if it's a contract with any kind of vendor providing a service, we don't do those in the sponsored programs office. Additional chat.
Yeah, there's some questions about some of the classes that CGA used to offer.
So I'm not aware of the trainings that used to be offered. I know, let's see what, oh, Deborah just responded. Yeah, I was gonna say, I know we were just in conversations about how we have to get some of our trainings updated. So hopefully we will get those updated and be able to start providing some of that again. So hopefully
Yeah,
by
and
our next meeting, we can provide some form of an update.
exactly. So just to expand on what Nicole said, we have a plan right now for how we're going to deal with the current roadblock we have in the Research Administration Certificate Series. So we just need to work out the logistics of that plan, and then we'll be sharing it with all of you. So you'll be hearing about next steps soon.
Thanks, Barry. Yeah, I was typing and I couldn't get my microphone on. Yeah, we know the financial courses are outdated, and we want to make sure that we go back and look at what we're offering and whether it covers the topics that you all need for today's needs, for the needs of 20 years ago when they were first written. So we want to update the whole course and make everything current and relevant, and then we'll get it back out to you.
Is there any other questions? Remember, this is your time. So it's a great opportunity to bring up issues, questions that you might have. You have great knowledge among you of all our colleagues across campus that can help in addressing questions, or if you feel more comfortable of emailing us directly, that's fine too. But this is your time. So if there's anything you want to share or bring up, let us know. Alyssa?
Yeah, I have a question. I guess it's for contracts and grants. I've noticed in PPM, there are a lot of sponsored projects that ended, quite some time ago, but there are still like balances showing, and I'm just not sure how to interpret that. Like, obviously the sponsor, I'm assuming, all the final financial reports and stuff have been sent to the sponsor. And PPM is just sort of lagging behind, but what does it mean when you
Yeah.
see money
So we-
still sitting in a sponsored project that closed a year ago or something?
So first off, I will say we are working on finalizing what the closeout process is going to look like, which will be department tasks versus our tasks, because if there isn't, and like if it's been overspent, you are required to remove that off. We can't physically close that out until you've removed that off. So if it's showing that there's a balance available, it's just because it hasn't been closed out yet, because we don't have the process completely set up, because we needed all the cleanup to occur before we could start that process. So that will be an up and coming process. We will reach out with sort of trainings on what departments are required to do versus what we'll do in order to work together to get everything closed out. So again, should be coming soon. You'll hear about that as soon as we get that finalized.
Yeah, okay, good deal. Just checking in.
There's a question about fiscal close. Does anybody know the answer, CGA folks? I'm not sure exactly which process you're asking about.
So our fiscal close process is being established still. I'm going to put a link into where you want to be going for the calendar for all the different tasks, but we're still in meetings. We're still going through our lessons learned from last year, which was our first fiscal close in Aggie Enterprise. So there are some modifications that are being made this year, but a good reference will be this link to keep updated. There will be communication on some office hours types communications in the coming weeks.
And then as efforts are moved from the default or suspense accounts to active grants, should we be charged the IDC rate in place when the effort was earned or the IDC rate of the accounting period in which they posted? So, I don't know exactly which system's doing. Do you know that, Mario? That would be a PPS function though.
Yeah, I do not.
It calculates indirect on the expenditure date. So
The expenditure date, okay. Thanks, Lenora.
I have another question. I submitted a ticket a while ago about a sponsored project that it was one that was sort of grandfathered in at the old 57% indirect cost rate. You know, when we renegotiated the federal agreement and every year they were going up and now we're at 61. There were some awards that came in, you know, prior to a certain date and were kept at the old indirect cost rate. But I have one project that from what I can tell, it's being charged at the higher rate, which of course, you know, changes available funds balance and everything. And so I did submit a ticket a while ago. Haven't gotten any response about, you know, what's going on with this and can this be fixed or has something changed and the rate has not been frozen at the old one, or how can this get fixed? So I can keep nudging on the ticket, but I just wondered about.
Yeah, can you just send me an email with the ticket number so I can look into it?
Sure, yeah, we'll do.
Thank you.
I was going to offer that too, Alyssa, if you want.
Okay.
Since Nicole will forward it to me anyways.
Okay, I'll just cut out the middle person there.
Michael, you have a question?
Oh, yeah. So this is for CGA. I think one of the bigger issues we're facing in our department is invoicing matters with our sister campuses. So I just want to know if that's a larger issue or mainly with the department I'm in now. So there's been a lot of reconciling matters that we're working through, and just if there's any best practices, you know, points of contacts, anything you can recommend to assure that we're, you know, UC Davis is billing our other campuses in a timely fashion and vice versa.
Yeah, what I will say about that process is we're trying to solidify what the process should be. Right now, there's some that are actually with CGA and some that are actually with general accounting. And so we're trying to bring it all together because we can't invoice by project. It has to be all projects combined when we send in an invoice. And that's where the problem comes in. So if we have one project that is not functioning and we're waiting on somebody to submit something, all other projects have to wait until that one is fixed so we can send the invoice in. So it's a wider problem in that we need to create a better process, but we are working with general accounting to transfer all of them to one department so things aren't split and it's a little smoother. So hopefully you'll see that at the start of the fiscal year.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that. I think that would be wonderful to have it all go back to CGA. We just have found
we're
that there's
getting
been
rid of it.
Oh, you're getting rid of
general
it.
accounting. It's going to go to general accounting.
I see. I was hoping with a new financial system it would be easier.
Well, they
Um,
use the same financial system, but they have other things that they have to invoice for besides just projects. And so it's easier when we have to do one general invoice for them to combine the projects into other things that they're invoicing for.
got it. I would think it would be more complicated, particularly for follow-up or reconciling, but I'm not on your side. I don't see it.
Yeah, but you'll, as soon as we know, all of that stuff is switching over. What we were told is the start of the fiscal year is when they're trying to merge everything together and get it in one location. So hopefully we will see that happen on that timeline. So things will start to smooth out.
Yeah, and last item, we've also been working through a lot of conversion issues surrounding special state appropriations. And so I think there's been a lot of confusion about the best way to resolve that. And we've been submitting tickets. Do you know if that's a wider issue and if CGA is ultimately responsible because these are sponsored projects, but they're also state funds, they're within the state fund block.
And I think that's combined in with the other state universities. That's why it's a really complicated process. There's so many processes that go into one invoice. And so all the state processes are kind of in the same situation.
Yeah,
I don't
this is
know
about
if,
conversion matters, not necessarily invoicing matters for the special state appropriations. So we've been working with accounting and financial reporting and CGA, and there's just been a lot of correspondence going back and forth, and still seems like a large issue remaining. So I was just wondering if there's any thoughts to share in this forum on that.
Michael, not right now. I mean, there's it's a collaboration with a lot of groups, as you've mentioned. We've had some configuration changes for special state awards, so there's a lot of moving parts right now, and we're also going to be transitioning these to general accounting, so they're no longer be with CGA. But that's in progress because we have several different flavors of special state now that also rolled out at the same time that we rolled out Aggie Enterprise. So we're working through all those issues right now. But we'll keep you
Thank you,
posted.
Mario. That sounds good. Do you expect that the departments do their own reconciliation, these conversion issues, or will CGA and or accounting and financial services or another department do any kind of deep dive to ensure that there are no conversion issues remaining?
Yeah, if
special
there's any
state?
anything that could be related to conversion issue will be involved. We meaning not just CGA, but also the service delivery folks like Francisco and company. So we're still working through that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just want to add that the department should be doing the reconciliation because none of the central offices will know the minute details on your side. And then the special state and some of the other, UC funding, the 19915s and other streams. Some of my team has been working with financial accounting and reporting and then the budget office. So those are in the transition of switching over. The goal is after fiscal close, but we are in the works for that right now.
Thanks, Lenore. I see a message in the chat from a Jeremy. General Accounting just issued a new process for state appropriations. I'm just wondering if that can be shared. I think Lisa Reyes asked the same question, or was that in an email already?
I'm looking for the link right now. I think there's a knowledge base article about it.
Good old knowledge base articles. Thank you.
Hi, this is Elizabeth in internal medicine. And I just had a general question for our CGA team related to Aggie Enterprise and Encore, where invoices created on Encore will automatically be forwarded to Aggie Enterprise as well as payments being received in Aggie Enterprise being automatically linked to Encore. is there a time frame on when that integration is scheduled to happen? And what are some best practices and guidelines in looking at, I guess, historical invoices or invoices that have been set up to date and getting those cleaned up?
Elizabeth, so your first part of your question, the timeline is set for, we're in testing right now. So I think it's a mid-June timeline, because there hasn't been a real, solid, we're going live on this date. So it's really being driven right now by the success of the testing. It is, just to meet our expectations, the integration is just a file transfer integration. So it's not, there are still several steps, the Aggie Enterprise steps of creating the invoice itself are still going to be manual on our side, on the Aggie Enterprise side. So some of the same challenges that we've had timeline wise will still exist. This just automates the file transfer that we've been receiving via email to now be a file transfer through the system, through the integration. And then on the payment side, we'll be feeding back the payment details back to Encore. So it will help with that portion of it. So as far as best practices, researching the invoicing detail, the report that went live 2 months ago is still one of your best tools to determine invoices and what's actually been paid. That shows payment detail. So I would leverage that report. There are some enhancements to that report that are currently in the pipeline, but I would go down that path. But as far as the timeline, we've been working closely with our counterparts at Schools of Health and the Encore integration. So that is set to go next month.
Okay. Will there be a change from a departmental perspective? Sounds like all of that is going to happen behind the scenes where we'll continue to invoice in Encore. And then,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah, so the integration, again, just to reiterate, just to meet our expectations, because I think there's this expectation that this Encore to Aggie Enterprise integration will be a straight through process that you'll generate the invoice in Encore and it'll automatically feed back the Aggie Enterprise invoice number. All it's doing is it's feeding over the data to Encore, from Encore to Aggie Enterprise, and it's creating the event in Aggie Enterprise, but we still have to go through and take from the event to create the invoice. And then on the payment side, there's still going to be communication through a central hub, if you will, with CGA to feed back that payment information to Encore. So we do have some work going on to try to automate the Aggie Enterprise portion of it with the larger goal of trying to speed up this process of when an invoice is created in Encore and how quickly you get the Aggie Enterprise details back.
Thank you so much, Mario.
Any other questions? No?
Chris,
Then
there's a
let's-
question in the chat. Does NSF still have a temporary hold on giving out funding?
we haven't heard of any changes, so at this point, I would say yes.
One thing I will say about letter of credit process in general is that the CGA is working closely with Denise and the Office of Research and in all of the different communication that's come in from agencies to determine what is just a notice, what is actually actionable, as well as the increased administrative requirements on our cash draws for what's required in terms of justification on our draws. So that information is changing daily. So if you hear information, most likely it's already old. So just please be patient with on the letter of credit. It's definitely one of the more challenging aspects of these executive orders. So CGA is working closely with Office of Research and Campus Council to work through all of these issues. So probably to summarize, there is no one blanket response that I could give right now that would apply to all letter of credit situations.
There was an earlier question in the chat that I don't think got responded to. I'm wondering if we still count on SPO's approval for first time no cost extension requests for NSF grants. It seems like those have been kind of that step has been removed, but
NSF no cost extensions grantee approved are still going forward as usual.
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know, maybe I didn't understand Ruby's question, but I'm wondering if Ruby, I don't know if you're still on here, but were you wondering if we need to alert SPO in advance about requesting the first no cost extension before submitting the request in research.gov? Or I'm kind of, it seemed like there used to be more of a, like you had to let SPO know first, and now it seems like they're getting the notifications after they're submitted in research.gov and just putting them into place. But
Yes, you can always reach out through awards at ucdavis.edu, but if the PI puts it into research.gov and forwards it, then we're going to move forward with it. There's always a possibility we miss a notice, like it doesn't come in or it hits somebody's junk mail. So you can always follow up if you don't see any action. But in general, we pretty consistently get those notices and put them for assignment.
Thank you, Maureen. That was very nice about Jeff and Sam. Anything else? All righty. Well, we will let you go and get back to your busy day, and we look forward to meeting again next month.